As we near the end of the Torah, and as we look towards the end of the year, we find that Moshe Rabbeinu, in one of his final encounters with the Jewish people, relays Hashem's command to the Jews to have and to appoint a king. Over the years, there have been many kings in Jewish history. Some were very righteous people, some were unfortunately the opposite, but at first glance you would think this would be a simple process, that once the Jewish people would go into the land of Eretz Yisrael, they would appoint a king, and everything would be okay. Interestingly enough, that is not the case. When the Jewish people enter the land, Moshe's successor Yeshua has already died. Shmuel HaNavi, the prophet Shmuel, is currently the one leading the people, and the Jewish people collectively go over to him and ask, can we have a king? At first glance, this seems like exactly what you're meant to be doing. The Jewish people have fully settled into the land, they are going over to their leader, the person currently in charge, and asking to finally fulfill the mitzvah of Hashem to have a king. But no, Shmuel HaNavi then proceeds to go and give a full speech, how the people are lacking faith in God, the people are lacking faith in the Almighty and instead wanting to do it for the purpose of believing in a human being other than God himself. Even more surprising is that Hashem is also on board, he is equally upset. What's even more bizarre is that Hashem tells Shmuel HaNavi to give them a king. Hence, the very first king of the Jewish people, Shaul HaMelech, is appointed. At first glance, this all seems very confusing. Seemingly, what did the Jews do wrong in the first place? They asked for the king that God commanded them to ask for. But when they asked for it, God got mad, Shmuel HaNavi got mad, with the claim that they were heretics, that they were going against belief in God. But God commanded the Jews to appoint a king. Let's say it was really that bad what the Jews were asking. If it was that big of a sin to ask for a king at this time, then why did Hashem give them a king? So explains the Rebbe that we have to look at this entire concept from a completely different perspective. Because when it comes to a physical king of another nation, of a nation that is not God's chosen nation, that king has a purpose, which is to protect its people and to judge them. However, when it comes to the Jewish people, when it comes to God's chosen nation, the king does not just have a job to physically protect them, but he also has a job to spiritually protect by teaching them Torah, by strengthening the connection of the people not with him, but with God. The king is a strong intermediary between the people and God, and that's exactly where the Jews got it wrong. The Jews went to Shmuel HaNavi and asked for a king in order to be like the other nations, that we have a physical being who could wage war for us, that could lead us. They did not have the proper faith that God himself was able to fill that role, and therefore Shmuel HaNavi was upset. Therefore, Hashem was upset. Nevertheless, they gave them a king because that's what they needed at the time. At the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. And ultimately, by giving them a king, the Jewish people were able to improve their belief in God. After starting on a low level, they were able to climb the ladder and then appreciate a king for what he's really meant to be. A spiritual leader, someone who fully connects the Jewish people to their God, as we see very clearly in the subsequent kings of David HaMelech and Shlomo HaMelech, two of the greatest kings in Jewish history. That is why Hashem was initially upset, but that is also why Hashem gave them a king, because he knew that once we start here, we are able to build up and ultimately have a true good understanding of what a Jewish king is meant to be. And the lesson for us is very simple. The Gemara tells us that while there are no kings today, one should turn to his rabbi, one should turn to his Rav, and he is, in that sense, a spiritual king, connecting the people to God. And therefore, by us connecting to the rabbis of our generation, allowing ourselves to learn from them, to be guided from them, to follow in their ways, that'll ultimately not just affect us, but allow us to become our own rabbi to go help someone else. And by doing that, we will not just have the same effect that the kings had back then, that our rabbis are having now. It'll be an effect greater than all of that. It will cause a chain effect, ultimately ending with the arrival of Mashiach. May he come speedily in our days. Wishing you a good Shabbos.